Midwest, and I am your etiquette educator, welcoming you to our platform on this morning. So, it is Wednesday. What about Wednesday? What about Wednesdays is our platform where we just share a little bit of information that you may or may not be familiar with. But we want to chat this morning about culinary terms and what they mean. Oftentimes, when we go out to dine, we hear various terms. Um, Used either by the wait staff or other persons in the room, restaurant personnel. And sometimes we may know what they are talking about, and other times we may not. We may not be as familiar with the term, or if we are, what does it really mean? Do we know what it means? And are we using it properly when we make use of a term? So, listen, I want to be sure that you are and probably share up a little bit of confusion sometimes that may be surrounded by some of these terms. So, good morning. Thank you for being here. Please like and share across your various social media platforms. I appreciate that. So, the first term that I want to address this morning is the word entree. We hear that word all of the time when we're going out or even when we're dining at home. Good morning. Good morning, Sister Rita. God bless you. We hear the term entree and we know what it means in America, or perhaps you think you know what it means, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know what it means at all. But entree, pronounced just the way I said it, on, like on, hyphen Tray, tray, entree. It is a French word. And in America and in certain parts of Canada, it is used to signify a course that is served during meal service. It is a course that is served during the course of your meal. And it can also refer to, oftentimes here, it refers to the main portion or the main dish that is being served. An example would be like you're having roast chicken with vegetables. That is your main portion of the entire meal that you're being served. Now, your entire meal could include several portions, and it usually does. It usually does at least contain at least three portions, three parts of the entire meal that is going to be served. In other countries, like in Europe and other places, entree is used to indicate the first course or the starter of a meal. It's the first course or the starter portion of a meal. So for those of you that travel, and especially those of you that travel internationally, it's really important that you understand the terms and what they mean so that when you go out to dine, you don't receive a portion of the meal that you didn't ask for at that time. So oftentimes a starter, I said the word starter, a starter is the first portion of your meal that's going to be served. So in Europe, the entree could be your starter. Oftentimes in America, our starter is our soup or salad, is oftentimes our starter portion. And we refer to those portions of the meal that is being served as courses. So when they say, well, how many courses did you have? If you had soup, salad, your main entree, and then dessert, that's 4 courses. So you were served 4 courses during your entire meal. But every course has a name and there's a reason for that. You want to separate and differentiate, and then you know how much you're eating. Oftentimes in Italy, they may have anywhere from 9 to 11 courses during their dinner meal. Dinner in other places, and that's another term that I'll discuss at a later time. I don't have that one on my list today. But dinner is supposed to be a time when people come together, not just to enjoy a meal. You come together to enjoy a meal, but there's also supposed to be fellowship amongst those that you are dining with. Good morning, and thank you for being a part of our platform on this morning. So when you come together, you want to talk about your day. You want to talk about the things that happened during your day, what excited you, and all of those various things. So in America, We don't always do that. We come together and we have our meal, we have our dinner, and everyone eats. And there might be a little bit about, so how was your day today? You sit around and you talk with your spouse and your children, and everyone hurries their meal and then go on off to do their various things. But oftentimes in European countries, dinner time, the dinner hour could last anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, sometimes longer. And the more courses you have, of course, the longer it's going to last. So again, in Italy, when they have anywhere from 9 to 11 courses, you can best believe that they aren't sitting down and getting up within a few minutes. That's going to take a little bit of time to consume those various meals. So the various courses that you might have in America and in other countries, you might start with your hors d'oeuvres. You might then have, that's your hors d'oeuvre, that is a course. Then they might bring out hors d'oeuvres, that is a course. Okay. And then they may bring out your soup, that is a course. Then your salad is served, that is a course. Then your main entree is served, which I said earlier, it might be chicken, it might be steak, it could be lamb, whatever that portion is. And that portion also includes your vegetables or your sides. That is a course. We're up to 5 courses now. We're up to 5 courses that are being served, and you're not done yet. So then you have dinner. You have your dessert after your main entree has been served. That's a course. Now we're up to 6. And then after that, in some countries and in some places, then they will have another course served, which might be drinks, your after dinner drinks. That could simply be coffee, that could be tea, that could be an alcoholic beverage. And in other countries, when they get to that beverage course, that's sometimes served in another room. In European society, they may have that course served somewhere else in another room. It might be in the library. The men would go there, especially during a different time, a different era. Maybe during the 15th and 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. They went off into the smoking room to enjoy their cigars and an alcoholic beverage. The ladies went somewhere else, went into another separate room where they had their coffee. So all of those comprise portions of a meal are referred to as courses, and they each have their place. Your hors d'oeuvres is an introduction. Your appetizer is an introduction to your meal, and that is served to stimulate the palate and get you ready for your main course. Now, why is there such fanfare around all of these courses and around the dinner hour? Also at lunch, you can have courses, of course, at breakfast. Anytime you sit down to have a complete meal, every course that you have is a part of your meal. Why is there all this fanfare around it? Again, because I said this was supposed to be a time of celebration, sitting down. It is the end of your day. You want to sit down and enjoy your family and have good conversation and enjoy good food. But oftentimes in America, like I said, now it has oftentimes been watered down because we're so busy doing so many things. We have so many things on our plate until family time has been kind of, what do I want to say? Has been dropped down, right? We have lowered the standard to a degree. And so we come together and we eat real quick and we rush off to do the next thing. And that's not how it is in European society. They take their time and enjoy their meals. Another term that I wanted to address is serving. What is a serving? A serving is not the same thing as your course. A serving refers to portion size. Would you like another serving of vegetables? Now, the size of the portion is going to differ. That is dependent upon what the food item is. Okay, but the serving size is intended to be individual. It is intended to be for one person only. One person only. So they will bring you a serving size of whatever it is, your vegetables, or if you wanted another serving size of your another side, right? Whether it be grains, that might be rice, that might be quinoa, it might be pasta. Your vegetables, of course, would be your corn, your broccoli, your asparagus, things like that. Serving refers to portion size, and it is not the same as a course. It is a part of whatever that is. It is a course in and of itself, but the serving refers to the size of it. Now, I want to go back to entrees for a moment because I gave you the difference between American cuisine, American dining, and European dining. But let's further complicate entree. Like I said, it is typically referred to in America as the main portion of your meal. But in Europe, it can simply mean um, the first serving, the first, I'm sorry, the first course that is delivered to you. Let's say that you are at a steakhouse, a real steakhouse, okay? In steakhouses, especially in Europe, entree can also mean the protein that you are having. And that is oftentimes referred to as an entree. So they will ask you, which entree did you want? Steak, whether it's ribeye, um, whatever that, let me pull up my notes over here. Um, Whatever that protein is, they would ask you, which entree do you want? So you choose your entree, whether it's steak, whether it's lamb, whether it's ribeye, whether it's roast chicken. You pick that entree, and then you pick your serving, your other courses to go along with it. So in a steakhouse, you would choose your steak or your protein. It could be salmon, again, different cuts of steak, whatever that is. Then you choose your sides to go along with it. The meat by itself is referred to as an entree. So these are things that, again, for those of you that travel, and especially for those of you that travel internationally, you need to be aware of these terms and what they mean in the place where you are, because it might mean something different. You're asking for your entree in Europe, and they're bringing what we consider the main meal. But it could be the starter for them, which is something different than how we think of starters. We think of starters as hors d'oeuvres and appetizers. So be familiar with the term and the uses in the country that you are, in the place where you are, so that when you get there, you don't end up with something that you didn't want at that particular time. So this is why it's important, and this is why you need to know. This is why you need to know so that you don't end up there. Now, let's talk a little bit about courses again. And I hope I'm not giving you too much information. I hope it's not too confusing or sounds very convoluted. It really is not, once you have the understanding. When we are talking about courses and we are talking about soup and salad, traditionally, your soup is served first and then your salad follows in America. In Europe, you may get your hors d'oeuvres, your entree, and your soup, and then your salad will come at the end of your meal. Oftentimes, not at the beginning of your meal that we're accustomed to here in the United States, and also again in certain parts of Canada. So this is why I say when you travel, be aware of what things, what words mean. Be aware of their dining protocols in their country, because they're not going to change it for you just because you're an American and you're there in their country, right? When you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. So in European society, your salad will oftentimes be served last. Will oftentimes be served last. So let's again talk about desserts. When you are being served your dessert course, for us, usually at the end of the meal. Another thing that I want you to take note of is that when you serve your dessert, you will oftentimes be presented with a fresh set of cutlery. It might already be on your table. It might already be at your place setting where you're sitting. So when you sit down to dine and you notice that there is a spoon and a fork at the top of your plate, centered on the table, that is letting you know that you will have a dessert course. The wait staff gave you both a spoon and a fork because sometimes they don't know until the last minute when they're setting the table. They may not know exactly what you're having because those that are setting the table may not be the same personnel as the actual wait staff. And especially if you are dining in a five-star restaurant, they will likely not be the same. So they're setting up the table for either or. If you're having cake or if you're having ice cream, you don't eat ice cream with a fork, but you will probably eat your cake with a fork. Or when you have multiple dessert selections to choose from, some persons at your table might choose ice cream or sorbet. Other persons at the table might choose cake. So that way you have the proper utensils, whichever one you need for that dessert course. And it is important to know that that silverware is not already set there for you to use during your main meal. That's not the purpose of it. Just let it lay. Don't ask the waitstaff to remove it. It is there for a purpose. Everything on your table serves a purpose, and everything on your table tells a story. If you know how the story goes, then you know which utensils to use at what time during your meal. Whenever you are in doubt, follow the movement of the host or the hostess. Whichever utensil they pick up to use first would be the same one that you would pick up to use first. Standard rule of thumb: your utensils are set up in the order of course that your meal will be served to you. And you typically start on the side that has the most cutlery. On your right side, you're always going to have your dinner or steak knife first. It will be on the inside. The blade side of the knife will be facing your dinner plate. Next to that, you will have your teaspoon. Your teaspoon you may use for your coffee or your drink if you don't have one set aside by your coffee cup. Use the one that is on the right side for that. Next to that spoon could be your soup spoon. That's what it should be. All of these are on the right side. Next to that, you could also have a fish fork. The fish fork would be there, of course, if you're having fish. And that is the only time that forks would be on the right side. So, simple everyday dining: dinner knife, steak knife. If you're having steak, your steak knife will be first, and then your dinner knife, and then your teaspoon, and then your soup spoon on the right. On the left, you're going to have your salad fork inside and your dinner fork on the outside. Now you see on the right side, we have 3 utensils. Over here on the right side, we only have 3. So you're going to start on that side. That's the story that the table is telling you. You're going to start over here first because it has more utensils on this side. So you start with your soup on the right, and then you switch to the left. You consume your salad, okay? And then you go from there. So that's just a little bit, a tidbit of information that I added. But I really wanted you to remember the terms. Serving refers to portion size of whatever course you are being offered. You can ask for another serving of that course, your vegetables or your grain. When they bring it to you, they'll bring it to you on a separate plate. They're not going to take your plate away and bring it back to you and serve it there. They will bring it to you on a separate plate. Okay, so that's serving. Courses refer to the various portions of the meal that you are being served. The courses could include appetizer, hors d'oeuvres, soup, salad, main entree, dessert, and then drinks. That by itself is 7 courses during the entire time that you're dining. Your entire meal could consist of all of those. So typically, like I said, we have about 3 courses because we'll either have soup or salad, our main entree, and then dessert. That's what we typically have in an everyday dining situation. So we have 3 courses. Your entree is your main meal, usually in America, which will consist of your protein and your sides, right? In Europe, your entree could be your first course or your starter course. Starter and course kind of have and appetizers or hors d'oeuvres are kind of lumped together in the same category. They just mean different things in different countries. So it's important for you to know that again when you're traveling. And I say traveling internationally, but let me also add that when you're traveling to different regions within the United States, some things may be a little bit different. If you're traveling to the South, the way they dine may be different from the way that we dine here in the North. And on the East Coast and on the East Coast and on the West Coast, they will have different food that we might not consume as much. This just because it's typical to that area or to that region. So that's why those things matter, and that's why they are important. Seafood could be a main entree. It can also be a course. And I will address that at a later time because I don't want to give too much information here. So where was I? I talked about serving courses. Main entree or entree is typically referred to as your main meal here in America. Again, remember the difference when you are traveling. If you're traveling internationally, there will be a difference. So know that. Know also that entree, what was I going to say? Entree, yes, for steakhouses. Entrees for steakhouses can also have a different meaning. It just simply means that you're choosing your protein and then you're choosing your sides. That can also be referred to it. And why do we use the term entree? Back in the 16th century, entree was served with a lot of fanfare. You had people coming in, they were dressed in their serving attire, which was very formal. And they also played music. And then they offered you your entree with flourish, with style, with elegance. And that's what etiquette is all about. It is about achieving elegance or mastery in a particular area. So when you are dining, that's why dinner time was such a big deal, because it was offered with such fanfare and all of these other things that were going along at the time that the meal was being served and or consumed. So entree was meaning to make an entrance, to make an entrance. And that's what the word actually means, to make an entrance. So when you're making an entrance, you're coming into a place, you come in with flourish, you come in with style. Think about a bride coming down the aisle. She's coming down, she's making an entrance. There's a lot of fanfare that goes on. People stand up, the music begins when she comes down the aisle. Food and the consumption of it, and especially when you're dining with other people, was meant to be a time of fanfare, fellowship, and fun. We've watered it down so much so today. And oftentimes, I don't want to, give the distinction that that's how it is all the time with everyone. It is oftentimes with other people. That is what they do in their homes, sometimes in public places, in various restaurants. It's always a delight to go there and dine because they have so many other things going on. You want to make your dining experience a pleasant one. I say that all the time. Your dining experience should be a pleasant one, even if you're dining alone. You don't just have to sit down to the table and just eat. Light some candles, put on some music, pour your beverage. If you're drinking soda or if you're drinking water, put a twist of lime in it, a twist of lemon. Make it fun, make it enjoyable. Enjoy yourself. If you are dining alone, enjoy your meal, but enjoy yourself. Be good company for you. And make your entree with your food memorable. Make your interest, meaning it sounds like I'm saying interest, but your entrance when you're coming into a place. Make it memorable. Make it accountable. Have a great time. So I hope that the information that I have shared with you this morning has been helpful, has been insightful, and more than anything else, it has been educational. That's why I refer to myself as the etiquette educator. It is my calling, it's a part of my calling to help you understand what all of this means, and that etiquette is not some old antiquated set of rules that we follow because our grandmothers did. No, etiquette is something that we practice today because you want to gain mastery in whatever area where you feel you might be lacking. So, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. You can always find me. Thank you, Rita. Very informative. Thank you, Rita. I'm glad to always see you, lady. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask me, if you have something that you are wondering about concerning etiquette, whether it be dining etiquette or just everyday etiquette, etiquette essentials, please feel free to reach out to me. You can drop a question at my website, which is www.vsetc16.com. www.vsetc16.com. You can also always find me on Facebook. You can post a question there. You can message me privately. If you message me privately, please let me know in advance. Otherwise, I won't look at it because there's so many trolls that are trying to send you messages, so many imposters. So let me know that. But you can also go to my Gmail by the same address, vsetc16.com at gmail.com, and drop your question there. I'd be happy to answer it. If you have a platform and you'd like for me to come on and share some information on your platform, I'd be happy to do that. For those of you that are, church and you have community events or you have a mentorship program, if you'd like for me to come and discuss something, I'd be more than happy to do that. Reach out to me on those various platforms and we'll chat about what the next steps are. So this is Lady Victoria. Welcome to my What About Wednesdays segment on today. And I want you to go about and have a very blessed day until the next time when we will chat again. Lady Victoria signing off. This is bye for now.